All right, obviously we cannot call the meeting to order yet, but we will go ahead and jump ahead. Yeah, Peter told me that. But we'll jump ahead to the GM CEO report with Mr. Greenwood.
Thank you, Chair Powers. I want to thank everyone for being here. I really, what I wanted to do is start off my comments by asking Jax Colgan, our Senior Project Manager from Capital Programs and Delivery, to come up. And Jax is going to talk to us a little bit more about what's required to make the move over to 575 Morosco. As you may know, we're targeting November to start making some critical moves over into that space, but there's still, as Jax had alluded to some time ago, there's still some work to be done in order to make that happen. We would normally have gone through the process of bringing it to a committee meeting first and then over to a subsequent board meeting that would be a month later. But given the nature of delays in construction, if we chose to do that, we would be risking delay costs as well as infringing on the likelihood that we would make that November move. Jax will explain how the chain of events led us here today, but I'm sure you'll agree that it's a worthwhile way of spending the next 10, 15 minutes, giving everyone a chance to ask questions before we bring it back to you as a board. So without further ado, Jax.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Greenwood. So I am here today to request approval for two resolutions. The resolution authorizing occupancy costs for the lease at Morosco Drive, Atlanta, Georgia 30324 for the short-term relocation of the annex employees. And the second resolution is authorizing the award of the contract for the MARTA site relocation project, IFB B 50324. And good morning, everyone. So to follow suit with Mr. Greenwood's initiative of People First, MARTA went to the board and we got authorized the execution of the lease agreement with the owners of 575 Morosco back in September of 2022. We then executed the lease in December of 2022. We went through and progressed for about half a year with the design and cost estimating to refine those details. We do have construction underway at the Uptown facility. We have two resolutions again. One is the resolution authorizing the funding for the full occupancy costs, which includes the design, the construction, and the cubicles. And then we also have the resolution authorizing funding for the IT fiber backbone and 4 floors of cabling. The reason we have two resolutions is this is two separate contracts, but we thought we'd hit you all up at once with one speaker. So benefits to MARTA, there's a lot, obviously. People first, as Mr. Greenwood said, we want to take care of our people and lower the attrition. It's protecting MARTA's employee investment, which we all want to do. Workforce in close proximity, it increases the efficiency and the productivity. We do have increased collaboration as well. One example is the Capital Program Delivery Department, our project managers and our construction team. We're actually going to be in the same building, the same floor, and the same space so that we can collaborate. And we're really excited. It's really good. We're not going to be separated anymore. Of course, we have attraction of new employees for growth of the capital programs and other departments. We will save on heating and cooling. About 100,000 square feet less is what we're going to save, 30% reduction. And of course, it's more climate friendly. This frees up a valuable land asset for development, approximately 37.5 to 74 million. And we also have significant TOD site potential to increase density and potential ridership and revenue. For the first resolution, I will describe the occupancy costs. As you can see here, we have a total of $6.1 million. That equals to about $46.27 per square foot. We are included in this is the construction management fee, the A&E support, cubicles, construction, and the permitting. There is no DBE on this item for the occupancy costs because we're using the landlord's contractors. Just want to make that aware. For the second resolution, I will describe the fiber backbone and data cabling. Next slide, please. Sorry about that. So IFB B50324 was advertised in the AJC, on MARTA's website, and the Georgia Procurement Registry. MARTA did not receive any bids, and our deadline was June 11th of 2023. The Department of Internal Audit has been requested to perform a cost analysis to determine the fair and reasonable pricing. Sorry, it is valuable too. We have already engaged the audit team. This was a little before we grabbed them. We've had to go directly to Cleveland Electric to negotiate a contract price because we didn't have any bidders. And this is approved through the MARTA Act, Section 14K. The term of the lease is 1 year, and the contract amount is that's not a good number, $396,386.52, so about $400,000. We have confirmed with Cleveland Electric that they will meet our 15% DBE goal for this project. As stated earlier in the presentation, I'm requesting the approval from the board for the resolution authorizing occupancy costs for the lease at Morosco Drive Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia 30324 for the short-term relocation of the annex employees. And then a second resolution authorizing the award of the contract for the MARTA Site Relocation Project, IFB B50324. I appreciate your time today, and thank you.
Thank you, Jack. So, Chair Power, the opportunity here was so that we're not asking for any votes, obviously, in this session. We wanted the board members to be able to hear the details, ask and have answered any questions that may come to mind, having seen this information, so that when we do approach at the full board, those questions will have been addressed. So over to you, should you wish to entertain any questions or comments.
All right, Mr. Frierson.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. You said it's a 100,000 square foot reduction, so that means that we are going to be leaving the other facility, moving into this one? And does that other facility stay in play, or do you know what's going to happen with it?
So right now, the annex facility is going to stay in play. We do have a few departments that are going to have to remain behind. We're looking at an alternate location for them because they're much larger. They wouldn't fit into the 4 floors that we have rented.
Okay, okay. And the lease agreement on this is just for 1 year? Is that my understanding, or is this?
No, our lease agreement for Uptown is for 3 years with 2 1-year extensions.
Okay.
So close to 5 is
Close
what
to
we've
5.
got
Okay,
at
I just want to make sure I was
Uptown.
clear on that, because your presentation kind of left me
Yeah, I think the 1 year, Jax, is really the amount of time we would be engaged with this.
Oh,
the
yes, for this
move-related
contract, yes.
construction.
Okay, just for
Yes,
the
sorry
move or
about that.
relocation.
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you.
Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you.
Were we able to get any tenant improvement concessions from Rubenstein?
So we actually looked at that when we were reviewing the lease. We negotiated a lower rental rate.
Thank you.
Instead of the tenant improvements.
Mr. Pond.
Could you elaborate or explain, there was a opportunity for long-term costs, the value was like 37 to 70 million or something, that was, will it there, it wasn't.
Yes, I'll let Jacob stand here.
Good morning, good afternoon. So the valuation range, the lower end is a per acre price, and the higher end range is based on the allowable density that we have at that site. So it's quite a big range, but we have land sale comparables that support those figures. And this is for the annex. This is for the annex.
That's a long-term
Yes,
value add.
long-term, yes.
Okay, I don't understand, I'm sorry, Jacob, I don't understand what you just did.
So the $37.5 million number is based on land sales comparables per acre.
Okay,
But if you look at the amount of density that we could support on that site, you could get up to 74 million, but there are challenges to getting to that maximum density. And so that's why the range exists.
you say like density, you talking about like residential density, or you talking about office density? Or
All types of uses.
any kind of use?
Yeah.
And you say challenges getting to that, is that, so the difference, 37 million is if we just put it up for sale, what we'd expect to get it for, as it's sitting right now?
It's about right, but it depends on what the development community wants to build and could finance on the land. And so to take just from a spectrum, if we're going to do a low density project, that's the lower end of the range. If you're going to do a high density project, that's the high end of the range. So if you're going to do 7 towers, residential towers on the site, it would be the higher end of the range. If you're going to do a 2-story office building like what is sitting there now, then you're looking at something at the lower end of the range.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't make that clear.
Mr. Andrews, you had your light on earlier. Okay. Mr. Durrett, did you still have a question? All right. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, appreciate you.
Thank you, Jack. In board, we'll come back to in the full board meeting. Yeah. And thank you, Jax. And Chair Powers, I also just want to bring to everyone's attention the upcoming events and meetings of significance, which are in your packets. More notably, the Riders Advisory Council, which will be held on Wednesday, September 6th in the atrium. The MAT committee meeting will be Tuesday, September 12th from 10 a.m. till 11:30 virtually, and the App to Transform conference on Sunday, October 8th. And with that, Chair Powers, I'll return the floor to you.
All right, I think that those are all the matters that we can handle until we have our other 2 board members who arrive, and so we'll just hang out until then.
Powers reminded me that if I chose to ride MARTA today, there wouldn't have been a delay, so I apologize. And we now have 7 people. There's some pretty bad traffic. I know Ms. Scott's caught in it as well, so apologies. But I know we kind of went out of order on the work session. For the chair report, I just want, call the meeting to order, thank you. And now that we have 7 people, I will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes from the July 13th, 2023 work session. It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please vote. Mayor Floyd. Did you vote? Okay, the minutes have been adopted. Under the chair's report, this is a great day for MARTA, and I am thrilled to announce that MARTA has reached an agreement with ATU Local 732 on a collective bargaining contract. All of you on the board will be briefed on the terms of that contract today, and we will have a resolution before us today at the board meeting. As you know, or probably know, of MARTA's 4,275 employees, 63% are represented by ATU Local 732. We deeply, deeply value this partnership and appreciate the negotiating teams on both sides who worked tirelessly and very hard at the bargaining table. And I think it's very important for us to call them by name. On the ATU negotiating team, Mr. Britt Dunhams, David Ward, Sharika Cook, Rufus Silas, and Ken Kirk. On the MARTA negotiating team, Melissa Mullinax, LaShonda Dawkins, George Wright, Kevin Hurley, and Bill Mosley. And I think we all owe all of them a round of applause. It was, I'm very, very thrilled that we get to take that matter up today. Other than that, nothing from the chair. I know that Mr. Greenwood has already done his briefing. And so the next item on the agenda would actually be executive session, and that would be for matters of real estate, litigation, and personnel. So I would entertain a motion to move into executive session. Moved by Mr. Durrett, seconded by Mr. Pond. This will be a hand vote. Please vote by hand if you're in favor. Passes unanimously. We'll be enter executive session and ask all those unauthorized personnel to please leave the boardroom. We haven't eaten lunch over there, though. this August 10th, 2023 board meeting of the MARTA Board of Directors to order. The first item on the agenda is public comment. The first public comment is going to be from me, and I would like to ask all board members and colleagues to join me in wishing immediate past chair Rita Scott a happy birthday. Her birthday was yesterday, and we are grateful for your service. Moving on to the other public comments, just a reminder, each presenter is limited to 2 minutes. Mr. Andrews, were there any public comments by email or voicemail?
Yes, sir. We received 2 public comments by email. The first one was received from Deborah, a South DeKalb resident. The second one was from Nikisha Hicks. Both of them will be added to the minutes verbatim as we move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Moving on to in-person public comment. We take them in order of in which you signed up. The first public comment will be from Mr. D. Gordon Graves. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. In the past, there were no smoking symbols on each train car door. No smoking or the symbol on signs that hang down in the stations. As an example, at East Point Station, the smokers would go to the south end of the platform to catch a drag. As those signs started to come down, the smokers became bolder, smoking in the area near the seats. Now they smoke while seated, leaving cigarette butts. Non-smokers who are affected by the smoke must be inconvenienced, either move or mention to the people to quit smoking. Please consider the health of your patrons, post more no smoking signs, and have the MARTA police enforce the no smoking rule. I was in an elevator at North Avenue Station a few days ago. A guy gets on with a lit cigarette. I asked him to put it out, and he eventually did. Enforcement of no smoking should be stronger. Fare evasion is another area where some patrons can affect others. There are fare evaders who shimmy between the double wide gates. Some pry them apart. Then those gates give us the red X. They won't open for those willing to pay to get through. Those may be in a wheelchair, too wide to be conveniently get through the single wide gates. Bicycles with wide handlebars need the double wide gates. Those with big luggage need them also, or if they have another physical problem. Someone in a wheelchair may have a big problem. Fare evasion equals loss of revenue, but in this case, it damages double wide gates and can cost a lot of money and can be bad for other patrons. Please enforce the rule. There is a story going around.
Mr. Graves, your time is up. If you could just finish up your thoughts. I don't want to interrupt you, but just respecting others' time.
There's a story that is going around. Double wide gate at a station was wide open. A bicycle goes through it to the elevator and barely gets on the train. A policeman catches up. They discuss the situation. Gate was open due to fare evaders, and fare would be paid at the end station. This fare evasion that damages double wide gates was rare. Now it is far too often. I see people go through shimmying and holding the gates apart and such. The red X is too frequent. Please do something about it. Question, why is a bicycle that goes through the open gate confronted when the fare evaders who damage the gates are not?
Thank you very much, Mr. Graves.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Next public comment will be from Sherry Williams. Good afternoon, Ms. Williams.
Good afternoon, board members. It's a privilege to be here today. I'm Sherry Williams, and I'm here representing residents in Southwest Atlanta. As an Atlanta native, I love MARTA. I want to talk to you today quickly about three things: board ridership, MARTA, and the Campbellton BRT. First, board service is an honor, and it is a privilege. I think it's imperative that all of you are able to experience firsthand, as riders do, periodic issues and problems. When you do that firsthand, it humbles you and allows you to make better decisions about what is going on with MARTA and make it better. To do otherwise is hypocritical. This allows you to view this work as heart work, not hard work. So because several people experienced delays in getting here, I think at least 50% of your meetings should be on MARTA. Thank you. Next, MARTA. I attended the past MARTA meeting. If you did not review the video, please do. A couple of members of that board are adamantly opposed to a dedicated lane for BRT and ART. That is a problem. And those members of MARTA made it perfectly clear that they will try to get rid of any future plans to take away dedicated bus lanes. We don't need internal sabotage. So we need to make sure that we are able to fight against that, and let me know what help you need from the community to do so. Last but not least, the Campbellton BRT looks to be on a great path. I am excited about you being able to overcome the right-of-way issues on Barge Road with a flyover. My last request on that is please update the Adams Park Library, which is the depository for South Side residents who do not have access to the internet. Thank you so much and have a great day. Keep up the good work. And when it's not good, I'll let you know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Next public comment will be from Tracy Singletary. Good afternoon, Mr. Singletary.
Afternoon. I'm Tracy Singletary. I've been a model rider for 33 years, ever since I came to Atlanta. It's getting ridiculous the way your police department harass people down at the Peachtree MARTA station, the 5 Point MARTA station. I was down there 2 weeks ago, and they came out chasing people off the street, and then an officer came over to me and asked me, "What bus are you taking?" I just looked at him and walked away. He followed me. I looked at him again and walked away. He followed me. I said, "Quit harassing me. What are you going to do, take me?" He says, "Get off of MARTA property." I said, "I'm on city property." And I said, "What are you going to do, take me to jail?" He said, "Yes." And he started handcuffing me. And the thing that ticked me off about that was I wasn't resisting. And I told him I could walk by myself. But he's going to push me as if to try to aggravate me. Then here comes another police officer and it grabs me on the other side. They tilt me forward so that I'm on my toes and rushing me through. When I get upstairs to the holding cell, they try to direct you to a filthy-ass place that they've got in the holding cell where evidently they put everybody, and y'all should go up there and look at that. Then they finally took me to jail. On the way, my shoulder was hurting. They took me to Grady. I went to Grady. They x-rayed me. Meanwhile, while I was at Grady, I was almost triggered with one of my PTS attacks. So when they brought me back, I asked to go to VA. They wouldn't let me. When they took me to the jail, the lady said that they would have to give me a mental evaluation rather than taking me to either Grady or the VA, they said, we're going to tear up the charges. They tore up the charges of that, but not the other two charges. Now, what these other two charges are, I don't know, because you can't read them. You know, they give you a carbon copy that's so thin that you can't even read it. And I don't know when I'm supposed to go to court or anything. I wish that y'all would just tear this darn thing up and let me be rid of it, and tell the officers down at 5 Points that people have a right to walk up and down the street. You have a right to assembly. That's all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singletary. Next public comment will be from John Jones, Jr. Good afternoon, Mr. Jones.
Good afternoon. My name is John Jones, Jr. I'm here to represent myself, riding modern mobility. I ride it all the time, but I've been told I didn't have to ride it, they didn't have to pick me up. It seems like I'm target. For 3 days in a row, I've missed my doctor appointment. 2 days after that, they didn't even come pick me up at all. And one day, the time for my drop-off, the young lady would come to pick me up. They told her to go to lunch. And after the lunch, she come and pick me up for the time I've been dropped off at my doctor appointment. So it seems like I'm being targeted. When I get home, in my area to get off the bus, they'll put in there to take me somewhere else, don't let me off. 10 miles, 15 miles away from my home. I'm right at home, I can't get off. I know it's a share ride, but I'm at home, allow me to get off the bus. And they constantly doing it. And I waited 2 hours for the bus, 2 hours and 30 minutes at church on Sunday. I go to church every Sunday. And the young lady told him, say, well, I picked up Mr. Jones, I'm finna drop him off, which I'm 13 minutes away from now. When she hung up the phone on it, he put on there to take me to the airport and pick up someone and drop it off. And she said, well, I told you I would drop him off, but she said, well, his tablet read, that's what you're supposed to do. So she took off. We went way out on 166. It took her from there to all me to speak to a supervisor. And then he told her to take me home. But we were out here on Silver Road then, but she turned around and took me back home. You know, so I feel like I'm being targeted. I think something should be done about it. This constantly happening day in and day out. So I feel like I'm being mistreated. And I ride this bus 7 days a week, practically. I depend on it. It's a lot I could tell you right now, but you don't give me but 2 minutes. So I just want to bring y'all up to date on this and be aware of it. It needs to be some changes made as soon as possible. Thank you for at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. The last public comment will be from Beverly Miller. Good afternoon, Ms. Miller.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'm a board member of Beltline Rail Now, and I'm here on behalf of that organization. Yesterday, the ARC reported that our city added approximately 14,300 residents over the last year, roughly double the average during the past 3 years. As Councilmember Matt Westmoreland responded to the APC, the population influx makes the MARTA expansion even more important. We're excited that this board voted last month to take the design of the Streetcar East extension from 30% to 70%. We thank you for this important step toward connecting all of the MARTA system to the abundant resources, including opportunities for employment and recreation along the East Side Trail. We are happy that problems with the existing streetcar will also be addressed. Its operations and maintenance issues must be resolved so that it integrates smoothly with the rest of the extension, and the 5-mile combined route will be a success. We urge you also to consider improvements to the current design for the extension. Important upgrades, such as grass tracks and smaller scale vehicles, would go a long way toward producing a more functional and aesthetically pleasing system, one that addresses legitimate concerns of many stakeholders. It is important that MARTA collaborate with the City Council Transportation Committee, ABI, the Atlanta DOT, and the Mayor's Office to make improvements to the current streetcar and to the design of the extension, and to engage the public during the 70% design phase. You have an opportunity to design a system that our city and the region can be proud of. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Miller. That concludes our public comment session of the agenda. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which will be an approval of the July 13th, 2023 Board of Director meeting minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes. It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please vote. The minutes have been adopted. We will now move on to the committee reports. The first committee report will be the Business Management Committee. Chairman Durrett.
Is that correct? My agenda shows Operations and Safety is the first one. I'm sorry.
My agenda is wrong. Okay, moving on, Operations and Safety Committee Committee. Chairman Pond.
Mr. Chairman, the Operations and Safety Committee met on Thursday, July 27th, 2023, and approved the following resolutions. A, resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the procurement of bus and rail detergent and degreaser services, IFB B50251. Second resolution, amended resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the procurement of MARTA uses, RFP P50104. I request approval of these resolutions.
Chairman Pond has moved approval of the Operations and Safety Committee resolutions. Is there a second? It has been seconded. Any discussion? Please vote. The resolutions have been adopted.
The committee also received the following briefing, station management for FY23 accomplishments. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Chairman Pond. Now we will move correctly to Chairman Durrett for the Business Management Committee report.
Mr. Chairman, the Business Management Committee met on Thursday, July 27th, 2023, and approved the following resolutions. A resolution authorizing the modification and contractual authorization for financial capacity and scenario planning services, contract number RFPP P50161. B, resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for Swiftly Data Platform, RFPP P50345. C, resolution authorizing a modification and contractual authorization for Specialized Professional Services, P47520. And D, a resolution authorizing a modification and contractual authorization for renewal of maintenance support for Teledriver 8.1.6 Driver Management System, LOA L39961. I request approval of these resolutions.
Chairman Durrett moves approval for the resolutions from the Business Management Committee meeting. I see a second. Any discussion? Please vote. The resolutions have been adopted.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Chairman Durrett. Moving on to the Planning and Capital Programs Committee. Chairwoman Powers.
Mr. Chairman, the Planning and Capital Programs Committee met on Thursday, July 27th of 2023 and approved the following resolutions. A, resolution authorizing execution of a license agreement to support the construction of the Brookhaven City Hall at MARTA's Brookhaven Station, DeKalb County, Brookhaven, Georgia. B, resolution authorizing the disposal of permanent easements to the Georgia Department of Transportation for SR State Route 3 road widening project along Northside Drive near the Vine City Pedestrian Bridge, Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia. C, resolution authorizing a modification and contractual authorization for Oracle Primavera P6 Cloud Service, Unifier, and Professional Services, P43333. D, resolution authorizing approval of center running bus rapid transit with flyover to Barge Road as the amendment to the locally preferred option for the Campbellton Community Investment Corridor Project. E, resolution to approve the recommended locally preferred alternative for Buford Highway ART. F, resolution authorizing the solicitation of proposals for final design services of the South DeKalb Transit Hub, RFP P50294. I request approval of these resolutions.
Chairwoman Powers moves approval of the resolutions from the Planning and Capital Programs Committee. It has been seconded. Any discussion? Please vote. The resolutions have been adopted.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Chairwoman Powers. Next on the agenda is the External Relations Committee. Chairwoman Scott.
Mr. Chairman, the External Relations Committee met on Thursday, July 27, 2023, and approved the following resolution. Resolution authorizing, trying to make sure my mic was on. Resolution authorizing a modification and contractual authorization for professional services for homeless outreach, LOA L47029. I request approval of this resolution.
Chairwoman Scott moves approval of the resolution from the External Relations Committee. It has been seconded. Any discussion? Please vote. The resolution has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee received the following briefings. City of Atlanta Employee Fair Pilot Partnership, Media Impressions, March through June 2023. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Chairwoman Scott. Next item on the agenda is the Audit Committee. Chairman Frierson.
Mr. Chair, the Audit Committee met on Thursday, July 20th, 2023, and received the following briefing: an internal audit activity Q4 FY 2023. Now, Mr. Chair, this concludes my report.
Thank you, Chair Frierson. Agenda item number 7 is a resolution authorizing the tentative settlement of the labor agreement between the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority and the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 732. Mr. Andrews.
Yes, sir. This resolution was advertised in part of the agenda, so just need a motion to approve it and a second to carry forward, and then anybody can answer questions after that.
Is there a motion to approve agenda item number 7, a resolution authorizing the tentative settlement of a labor agreement between MARTA and ATU Local 732? It has been moved and seconded. Any discussions or questions? No discussion, no questions. Please vote. The resolution has passed. Agenda item number 8, a resolution authorizing occupancy costs associated with the lease at 575 Morosco Drive Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia 30324. Mr. Andrews.
Same thing, Mr. Chair. This resolution was on the agenda and advertised as such. It just didn't go through a committee, so it would need a recommendation of approval or other from the board.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. I will entertain a motion for agenda item number 8, a resolution authorizing occupancy costs associated with the lease at 575 Marosco Drive Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia. It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Please vote. The resolution has been adopted. Agenda item number 9, resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the MARTA site relocation project, IFB B50324. Mr. Andrews.
Just like the last two, Mr. Chair, this resolution did not go to a committee due to timing, and therefore just needs a motion from somebody on the board.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. I will entertain a motion for the resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the MARTA site relocation project, IFB 50324. It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please vote. The resolution has been adopted. I will turn it back over to Mr. Andrews now because I know that there are 3 other matters to come before the board from real estate and litigation matters from executive session.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Worthy. The first matter is need approval of a settlement in the amount of $500,000 in the lawsuit of Bobby Brown v. MARTA and Queen Gordon.
I will entertain a motion to approve the settlement. Moved by Mr. Durrett, seconded by Mr. Frierson. Any discussion or questions? This will be a hand vote. Will all in favor of the settlement please raise your hand? Any opposed? The settlement is approved. Mr. Andrews.
Thank you. The next matter is a resolution authorizing the submittal of a purchase offer for 55 Peachtree Street, City of Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia. Whereas pursuant to the MARTA Act of 1965 as amended, MARTA exists for purposes of planning, designing, leasing, purchasing, acquiring, holding, owning, constructing, improving, equipping, financing, maintaining, and administering a rapid transit system within the metropolitan area and operating the same. And whereas the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority's operations staff has identified a public need to acquire property within the City of Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia, and the city is within the territorial jurisdiction of MARTA. Whereas the MARTA Police Department is in need of a new precinct located in close proximity to MARTA's 5-point station, and whereas MARTA staff has identified certain real property located at 55 Peachtree Street, City of Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia, State of Georgia, to be acquired and used as a MARTA police precinct, and be it therefore resolved that the general manager, CEO, or his delegate is hereby authorized to offer and execute acquisition documents for the purchase of the property. The Board of Directors of the Metropolitan Rapid Transit Authority hereby authorize the general manager, CEO, or his authorized delegate, as provided by the bylaws of the authority, to make an offer to purchase and execute a purchase and sale agreement to secure the real property improvements located at 55 Peachtree Street, City of Atlanta, Fulton County, State of Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Is there a motion to approve this resolution? Moved by Mr. Durrett, seconded by Mr. Pond. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand. Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Mr. Andrews.
Thank you. The last matter is a resolution authorizing the execution of agreements with MARTA Hollowell Development, LLC, for the development of parcel D5015 and completion of associated station improvements at Bankhead Station. Request for proposals P47501. Whereas on October 31, 2019, the Board of Directors of the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority authorized the solicitation of proposals for the joint development of parcel D5015 at Bankhead Station. And whereas on January 13, 2022, MARTA advertised requests for proposals for the development of parcel D5015 at Bankhead Station, and on May 4, 2022, 3 proposals were received. And whereas MARTA's Source Evaluation Committee reviewed and evaluated the proposals, and on September 8th determined that MARTA Hollowell Development LLC submitted the most advantageous offer, and other factors considered, is technically and financially capable of delivering the transit-oriented development and associated station improvements at Bankhead Station. And whereas on October 13, 2022, MARTA's Board of Directors approved a resolution authorizing contract negotiations with MARTA Hollowell Development LLC, and pursuant to such authorization, and whereas the major terms of the various agreements have been negotiated and the remaining items are expected to be agreed upon in the near future, upon which the parties anticipate executing the various agreements that will be required for this transaction. Resolved, therefore, the Board of Directors for the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager / CEO or his authorized delegate, as provided by the bylaws of the authority, to execute the necessary agreements with MARTA Hollowell LLC to develop parcel D5015 and complete the associated station improvements.
Is there a motion to approve this resolution? Moved by Mr. Durrett. Is there a second? Seconded by Mayor Floyd. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The resolution is adopted unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Andrews.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none, and with no other matters before the Board of Directors, this meeting will stand adjourned. Thank you all.